Before we jump into some of the most intriguing Raiders rumors making waves from ESPN, let me set the stage for you all. Right now in our Madden Live season, the Raiders are neck and neck in a fierce battle for the AFC West crown. We're gearing up for Week 18 and the stakes couldn't be higher. The final live show of the week is scheduled for Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's shaping up to be a must-watch. Picture this: the Raiders currently sit at a jaw-dropping record of 114 wins and just one loss, a testament to their dominance in this virtual season. If they can topple the Kansas City Chiefs in this matchup, they'll officially clinch the AFC West title, securing a prime seed heading into the playoffs. What makes this showdown even more thrilling is the playoff picture. The Raiders, if victorious, will leapfrog right up to the number 2 seed in the AFC, setting themselves up for a clash with the Cincinnati Bengals. However, if they stumble, the path becomes tougher, as they'd face the Baltimore Ravens in the postseason. A quick note for those who've noticed: the Chiefs and Raiders have one fewer game played. That's because the simulations for other teams are already complete. So the stakes for this game are incredibly high, not just in Madden, but in the spirit of rivalry and bragging rights. I don't care if it's virtual. Beating the Chiefs means everything to Raiders fans, and the energy around this matchup is electric. Switching gears to real-life football, ESPN has been buzzing with Raiders rumors that every fan needs to hear. One of the hottest takes: the Raiders' biggest strength this season is their defensive line. Now, this isn't just some random claim, it's rooted in solid facts and impressive stats. Max Crosby, for example, is 7th in the league with 34.5 sacks and leads all edge rushers with 223 tackles over the last 3 seasons. Add to that the return of Christian Wilkins, who, despite missing significant time last year, showed his prowess with 9 sacks in 2023. When fully healthy, Wilkins is a nightmare for offensive lines, and his presence makes the Raiders' front even more menacing. The defense also hopes to see Malcolm Coe back on the field after his torn ACL in Week 1 of 2024. His return is crucial as he adds another dangerous edge to the Raiders' defensive line. Then there's Tyree Wilson, the 2023 first-round pick, who many believe can take this defensive unit to new heights if he continues to develop. However, depth behind Wilkins and Adam Butler remains a concern, which could pose challenges if injuries strike. Despite these questions, the potential here is undeniable. The Raiders' defensive line is stacked with talent, and it's the backbone of the team's defensive identity. What truly sets this group apart isn't just the talent on paper, but the coaching behind it. Rob Leonard, often hailed as the best defensive line coach in the entire NFL, works wonders with this group. His ability to harness and develop the raw talent on the Raiders' line gives this unit an edge few teams can match. When you consider Leonard's impact alongside the raw skill of players like Crosby and Wilkins, it's easy to understand why this defensive line is being touted as the Raiders' biggest strength. That said, there's a small caveat. Christian Wilkins is still something of a question mark. His health will be a determining factor in just how dominant this line can be. But even with that uncertainty, the Raiders have a deep and talented tight end room that deserves shoutouts too. If Michael Mayer takes another step forward this season, pairing with the best tight end already on the roster, the Raiders could boast the top tight end cores in the league. That combination of a powerful defensive line and a dynamic tight end group could be a huge factor in the team's success. On top of those strengths, don't overlook the Raiders' running game. Ashton Gentry is quietly building a reputation as one of the most effective backs in the league, especially behind a physical offensive line. And with a quarterback like Geno Smith, who's more than willing to contribute to blocking and moving the chains. When you add in tight ends who can catch and receivers who block, this running game looks sneakily good. It might not grab headlines, but it's a key piece of the Raiders' offensive strategy, and a factor that could frustrate defenses all year. Speaking of the coaching staff and front office, they often don't get enough credit for what they bring to the table. This is a group that, in my opinion, ranks in the top 10, maybe even top 5 across the league. From Chip Kelly's offensive scheme to the defensive strategies and player development, there's a cohesive plan in place that bodes well for the Raiders' future. The synergy between coaches and front office is a strength that can't be overlooked, especially in a league where organizational stability often leads to sustained success. Now, shifting focus to one of the Raiders' more glaring weaknesses, the secondary. ESPN's analysis is clear here. The Raiders' secondary is the weak link on this roster, and I tend to agree. Last season, starters like Travon Merrick, Jack Jones, and Nate Hobbs, who ranked 1st, 3rd, and 10th respectively in snaps played among Raiders defenders, won't be returning this year. That leaves a big hole to fill. The Raiders have brought in Eric Stokes, a cornerback who struggled in Green Bay, but could have a chance to prove himself here. Alongside him are Jacqueline Bennett, Cameron Richardson, Darnay Holmes, and rookie Darian Porter, all competing for starting spots. At safety, veteran Jeremy Chin was signed to fill the void left by Merrick, lining up opposite Isaiah Paulemo, who didn't perform well in terms of grading last season. While there's talent and potential, the Raiders' secondary still raises concerns. Some of the players ESPN doesn't see as starters might actually surprise and earn their way onto the field, but overall this remains a question mark. The lack of experience and proven performers at key spots like free safety and nickel corner means the Raiders will need significant development or reinforcements to shore up this part of the defense. I've seen a lot of debate about Jamal Adams and JT Woods, who were not part of the Raiders' off-season plans. Adams' impact is questionable, and Woods, while fast, might be more of a special teams asset than a defensive starter. Realistically, the Raiders need to add a free safety who can make a difference. Names like Justin Simmons or Julian Blackmon come to mind, players who can elevate the secondary and provide much-needed stability. The team has the cap space to pursue upgrades, and it will be critical to address this if the defense wants to remain competitive. While the secondary is a concern, it underscores how vital the defensive line is to the Raiders' defensive success. If the line can control the line of scrimmage and pressure quarterbacks, it will mask some of the secondary's deficiencies. But if the front fails, the secondary's weaknesses could be exploited, making the defensive line's performance even more crucial. Another intriguing topic is Jackson Powers Johnson, who ESPN has labeled as the Raiders' biggest X factor for the upcoming season. There's no doubt he has the talent and versatility to impact games significantly. As a rookie, he split time between guard and center, showing promise with his pass blocking and run blocking abilities. The transition to center, where he led in run block win rate, signals he could be a key piece in Chip Kelly's offense. Still, calling him the team's biggest X factor might be overstating it slightly. In truth, the most pivotal player for the Raiders this season is Geno Smith. The quarterback's play will ultimately determine how far this team goes. While JPJ's role is important, especially in setting the tone and providing stability on the offensive line, Geno's leadership and performance under center will be the driving force behind any playoff run. The Raiders' commitment to a physical, run-heavy offense meshes well with JPJ's strengths, but the team's ceiling is tied closely to Smith's consistency and ability to make plays. Looking ahead, there are players classified as non-starters by ESPN that deserve attention. Some of these athletes might surprise and earn starting roles as the season progresses. One of the most exciting names is Jay Japis, a rookie defensive tackle with an incredible story. At 325 pounds, Piss was a Wildcat quarterback in college, a rare and fascinating background for a defensive lineman. His versatility is impressive. He's played multiple positions, including running back and even Wildcat quarterback, showcasing unique athleticism. If Wilkins misses time, Piss could see significant snaps, making him a player to watch closely. The Raiders had a fascinating draft, especially in the later rounds, landing versatile players like Piss and Montana State's Tommy Mellott, who's contributed in various roles. This kind of flexibility is invaluable in today's NFL, allowing the Raiders to adapt and innovate on both sides of the ball. Beyond Piss, players like Dante Thornton Jr., Jordan Meredith, Darian Porter, Tommy Mellott, and Thomas Harper are all worth keeping an eye on. Though ESPN labels them as non-starters, the reality in football is that opportunity often breeds unexpected breakthroughs, and these guys could emerge as key contributors. This guy quietly commands attention with his running ability, and he's becoming a focal point of the Raiders' offense. If you're thinking about grabbing a jersey or showing support, now's the time. His impact this season could be huge, and having a reliable running back like Gentry behind a strong offensive line could be the difference maker for the Raiders. Now that we've dug deep into the Raiders' defense and some key pieces on offense, let's explore the bigger picture and what this all means for the team's chances this year. The NFL is an unforgiving league, and while the Raiders have many strengths, every team has to confront its weaknesses and figure out how to turn potential into wins. The Raiders' defensive line, led by Max Crosby and bolstered by Christian Wilkins and emerging stars like Tyree Wilson, is a formidable force. They have the ability to disrupt defenses, generate pressure, and create turnovers. But football is a game of balance, and no matter how dominant a defensive line might be, it can't fully compensate for weaknesses in other areas, specifically the secondary. That secondary question looms large over the Raiders season. The group lacks proven talent and experience, and this could be the Achilles heel that opposing offense's target. Quarterbacks facing the Raiders might pick apart the secondary if given enough time and space. This puts immense pressure on the defensive front to get to the quarterback quickly and to make stops before the ball can be delivered into tight windows. This dynamic will define a lot of the Raiders' defensive success or failure. It's a classic football dilemma. When one unit excels, it can carry a team for stretches, but if the vulnerable spot gets exposed, it can unravel everything. What's encouraging is that the Raiders seem aware of these gaps. They've brought in players like Jeremy Chin to shore up the safety position and signed Eric Stokes to add cornerback depth. Still, these are stopgap measures, and the need for a true game changer in the secondary remains. Perhaps the Raiders will look to the draft or free agency to bolster this area before the season kicks off. The fact they have the cap space to pursue high-impact players suggests this could be a priority. If they do address the secondary successfully, their defense could become one of the league's best. If not, it's going to be a long and challenging season. On the offensive side, the story is much more optimistic. The Raiders' offense is built on a foundation of physicality and versatility. Geno Smith, while not necessarily the flashiest quarterback in the league, brings leadership experience and a smart football mind. He's the kind of player who can run an offense efficiently and keep it balanced between the pass and the run. His chemistry with the tight ends, especially if Michael Mayer continues his upward trajectory, could create matchup nightmares for opposing defenses. Tight ends who can both block and catch effectively give an offense a unique weapon, especially in critical situations like third downs or red zone opportunities. Then there's the offensive line anchored by young players like Jackson Powers-Johnson, who, as we discussed, is poised to make a significant impact. His ability to handle both guard and center duties gives the Raiders flexibility in their offensive schemes and protection packages. A solid offensive line not only opens up the running game but also gives Geno Smith the time he needs to make throws downfield. The Raiders' run game, led by Ashton Gentry, adds another dimension, keeping defenses honest and setting up play-action opportunities. This balance is critical to sustaining drives and controlling the clock, two essential components of winning football games. Special teams, often an overlooked phase of the game, could also be a key factor for the Raiders. While we didn't touch on it earlier, reliable kickers, punters, and return specialists can swing momentum in close contests. The Raiders have had a history of fluctuating success in this area, so improvements here could provide the edge in tight games. A strong special teams unit can help the defense by winning field position battles and can directly contribute points or game-changing plays. Looking at the coaching staff again, Chip Kelly's influence can't be overstated. His innovative, offensive mind and willingness to push the pace are central to the Raiders' identity. This approach keeps opposing defenses on their heels and can wear them down over the course of a game. However, it also requires players who are physically and mentally prepared to execute at a high level consistently. That means conditioning, discipline, and depth all become critical. The Raiders appear to have bought into this philosophy, but only time will tell if the team can sustain that level of intensity over a grueling NFL season. One of the more interesting storylines to follow will be the development of the young talent on the roster. Beyond the veterans and established stars, the Raiders have several promising rookies and second-year players who could take significant steps forward. Players like Darian Porter, Tommy Mellott, and Jordan Meredith might not start the season on the field, but their potential to contribute should not be underestimated. Often the difference between a good team and a great team is how well the younger players step up when called upon. Depth and versatility allow coaches to adjust and keep their best players fresh and healthy as the season progresses. Meanwhile, the competition in the AFC West remains fierce. The Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, and Denver Broncos all bring their own challenges. The Raiders' rivalry with the Chiefs is one of the NFL's most heated, and these games are always circled on the calendar. If the Raiders want to reclaim the division and make a deep playoff run, they will have to overcome these formidable opponents, particularly the Chiefs, who have a well-rounded and explosive offense. The key to success in these divisional battles will be execution and minimizing mistakes. Turnovers, penalties, and missed assignments can quickly turn the tide against a team, especially one with as many young pieces as the Raiders. Another factor to consider is health. The NFL is a brutal league physically, and injuries can derail even the most promising seasons. For the Raiders, keeping their key players, especially on defense and the offensive line, healthy will be essential. Injuries to Wilkins, Crosby, or Powers-Johnson could severely impact the team's ability to compete at a high level. On the offensive side, Geno Smith's durability and consistency as a quarterback are equally vital. Depth players will need to step in seamlessly if injuries occur, and that's where the team scouting and player development will be put to the test. Speaking of development, the Raiders front office deserves credit for their scouting and drafting approach. They've shown a knack for identifying talent that fits their system and culture. The selection of unique athletes like J.J. Piss is a perfect example. His rare blend of size, athleticism, and versatility is the kind of player who can make a difference in multiple ways, whether on defense or special teams. Developing these players into contributors is critical for the Raiders' long-term success, especially as they balance the salary cap and look to maintain a competitive roster year after year. All of these pieces together paint a picture of a Raiders team with a high ceiling but also clear challenges. If their defensive line performs as expected, and the offense continues to execute Chip Kelly's system efficiently, they have the potential to be one of the AFC's most dangerous teams. However, if the secondary struggles to keep up and injuries mount, the road will get much tougher. The upcoming season promises to be a thrilling ride for Raiders fans, filled with highs and lows, breakout performances, and nail-biting finishes. In conclusion, while the Raiders are not without flaws, their strengths, especially on the defensive front and at tight end, combined with a balanced offense and innovative coaching, give them a solid foundation. The key will be addressing the secondary and staying healthy. Watching how the young players develop and whether the team can maintain consistency throughout the season will be fascinating. The AFC West remains one of the toughest divisions in football, and the Raiders' ability to rise above their rivals will depend on both their talent and their resilience. As we move closer to kickoff, every game will count, and the Raiders' journey promises to be one full of excitement, passion, and the relentless pursuit of victory. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy, drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers around the NFL world are heating up, and one name is at the center of the latest buzz: Nick Bosa. While nothing is officially announced yet, sources close to the league suggest the star defensive end could be on the verge of signing with the Las Vegas Raiders, potentially shaking up the AFC like never before. Imagine the impact of adding Bosa's relentless pass-rushing prowess to a Raiders defense already eager to rise in the standings. This move could spell serious trouble for opponents across the conference. The speculation stems from insider chatter that the Raiders, hungry to reclaim their spot among the NFL elite, are aggressively pursuing Bosa to spearhead their defensive line. Known for his explosive first step, unyielding motor, and game-changing plays, Bosa has become one of the most feared defenders in the league since entering the NFL. If this signing goes through, it would be a clear statement from Las Vegas that they're not just rebuilding, they're building a powerhouse. Bosa's presence could redefine the Raiders' defense overnight. The AFC is packed with high-octane offenses, and having a dominant edge rusher like Bosa would give Las Vegas the firepower to disrupt some of the league's best quarterbacks. Picture Bosa clashing with divisional rivals, bringing relentless pressure and game-changing sacks that shift momentum instantly.